Let's dig into this next topic. Is it a bad look to report on how female politicians dress? A new piece in the New York Times argues that while critiquing a female politician's style can sometimes be used to discredit her worth, fashion can also be used as a tool to boost a politician's image. So, is critiquing a female politician's style appropriate or problematic? We are talking to a female politician right now. Nahani, can you weigh in on this?
Yeah, I mean, I would always encourage people not to critique any women on what they're wearing, but particularly women that are in public office. You know, women in public office already face like exponential levels of criticism and tension simply because they are in male dominated space. I think it's important to recognize that politics has always, for thousands of years, been the domain of men. It was visioned and established by men for men. And so it's taken us a long time to be able to penetrate those halls of legislatures here in Canada and everywhere else. And so I think that there's this constant tension between wanting to do things differently and the establishment of always what has been. And certainly I would suggest that fashion, has not necessarily been the focus for men in the House. And so I don't know why, if we're not reporting on that, politician A keeps wearing the same navy blue suit day in and day out, I don't know why we would comment on women politicians' fashion. I know that for myself, I love my fashion. I've created the way that I want to be understood as a female Indigenous politician, and I'm unapologetic for my fashion. And I encourage all women, but including women politicians, to be, unapologetic and command their space, dress the way that they want to dress.
Yeah, and I mean, listen, I think fashion is art, and art is a form of expression. And I think more and more we have seen female politicians express themselves and include their messaging in their fashion, and the style sometimes becomes the story. I think about in 2019 in the United States, where many female politicians showed up in Congress in all white. And they were, number one, expressing solidarity for the women's movement, for equal rights. And that was a powerful statement. And for us at The Social, we then, were inspired by that moment. We showed up at the Canadian Screen Awards together, all wearing white, in solidarity for each other, but also in support of representative art in culture and entertainment to, represent more voices. Recently, Kamala Harris, who is running with Joe Biden for the White House as vice president, has been making headlines for her choice in footwear. So she's worn Timberlands, she's worn Converse, and people are talking about it, people are commenting on it, and I think in a good way. When I see that she's wearing Converse, which I've worn, I have many pairs, and Timberlands, which we all wear, it says to me that, first of all, she wants to be comfortable. She's working really hard. Her days are really long, and she's not going to slip on a pair of pumps and go from this state to this township to the other, meeting people, shaking hands, and that she's out there grinding. And I think that is deliberately also the message she's sending as she's out there on the campaign trail.
I mean, this conversation really reminds me of Michelle Obama, of course, and in her recent Netflix documentary, she had this amazing quote where she said, "Fashion for a woman still predominates how people view you, and that's not fair, that's not right, but it's true. That's when fashion isn't just fashion, it's how you turn it into your tool rather than being a victim of it." And I think she's right. Like, of course, I think it's problematic for people to talk about or make comments on women or feminine people's appearances, especially politicians, female politicians. But on the other hand, I'm sort of like, well, if we're going to do it, can we write more think pieces that honor and celebrate the labor that is involved and the strategy that is deployed in women and feminine people putting together their daily armor as they go to do their work. Like, that's sort of where I would love the conversation to go, is to honor the labor.
I hear you. Rochelle on Facebook wrote to us and said, this is stupid. But then it becomes about how frivolous a candidate is for what designer they choose, and an analysis of her color choice. God forbid a woman removes her jacket and you can see an errant bra strap. And yeah, Rochelle, I think what you're pointing out is that women in politics, women in many jobs actually, do have this kind of Goldilocks dilemma when it comes to their fashion choices. If it's too, plain, they'll be seen as dour or sloppy or trying to be too manly, as we saw, I think, with Hillary Clinton, who was often criticized. But if, God forbid, she's wearing something tighter or, like an errant bra strap, as you pointed out, then you're going to be seen as frivolous or sexual. We can't win. It's awful, but it's on us as well as people who are viewing that to stop criticizing in quite the same way that we have been.